Footsteps echo. Cold air. A key turns somewhere below the marble floor. You press your hand to the wall and feel it hum like the stone remembers. A lantern swings. Water drips. The tunnel bends and vanishes into black. A guard passes above you, unaware. You breathe, slow and quiet. The map in your pocket is warm from your palm. 3 marks, 1 cross, 1 circle, 1 name no one says aloud. Down here, the rules are different. Voices carry. Dust tastes like old secrets. A door has 7 locks, but only 6 are visible. A mosaic blinks in your light and points left. You follow, because the night is kind to the brave. Somewhere ahead is a sealed room and a story the world never got to hear. This is secret tunnels beneath the Vatican. What are they guarding? Lie back. Close your eyes. We will walk the hidden paths together. If you listen closely, the stone will talk. Beneath St. Peter's Square, under the grand churches and bright halls, there is another city, quiet, narrow, and carved from time. These passages are older than the crowds above. They wind under chapels, cross old Roman roads, and slip past rooms that were never on any tour. Down here, sound is soft and steady. Your breath, your steps, a drip that never seems to stop. It is simple. It is also holy. Tonight, we go there in a dream. We will move through arches, worn smooth by hands that prayed in the dark. We will pass niches that once held oil lamps and names scratched into wet plaster. Some doors are plain. Some wear symbols, you know. Others are marked in ways you feel more than see. Along the way, stories walk with us. A fisher's bones, a scholar's box of letters, a seal that only opens when the right word is spoken in the right tone. Our guide is quiet. Sometimes it's a map. Sometimes it's a sound. Often it's your own sense that something is just nearby. You will notice how the air changes before a room with power. It is a small, cool rush, like stepping into shade at noon. In these halls, the past is not gone. It is close, and it is kind to the ones who come with respect. There are relics here, some known, some unnamed. There are tombs and scrolls, and a narrow stair that leads to a locked archive few have seen. Are the legends true? Do the tunnels hide a key, a stone, a secret that has shaped the path of faith and power? We will not force answers. We will ask the night to show us what we need. Then, gently, we will leave the rest asleep. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath. The first door is open. The night air outside is cool, heavy with the weight of centuries. St. Peter's Basilica rises like a stone dream against the stars, its dome a silhouette pressed against the sky. But you are not walking toward the great doors. You are drawn to a smaller chapel tucked quietly on the side, a place pilgrims pass without notice. The marble floor gleams faintly in the candlelight, worn smooth by millions of feet, each carrying prayers and confessions into the air. Tonight, though, you are not here to speak aloud. Tonight, you are here to listen. Your hand rests on a column, cool to the touch. The chapel feels empty, yet not hollow. Silence here is a presence in itself, like a companion waiting patiently. You kneel, not to pray, but to touch the floor. At first it is simply stone. Then, with a gentle press of your palm, you feel it, a hollow thrum beneath the marble. Not the echo of footsteps above. Something deeper, something below. Your eyes trace the patterns of the tiles. They seem random at first, but your breath slows, and you notice one tile slightly off-center. A crack along its edge curves unlike the others, forming a faint crescent. You run your fingers across it, feeling how the groove leads to a small hollow, just large enough to hook a nail, or a key, or the tip of a patient hand. You lean closer, heart steady, breath slow. The chapel smells of wax and faint incense, but here, just near the tile, there is another scent damp earth, older than the basilica itself. You press gently. The tile shifts, soft, as though it has been waiting for this touch. It rises half an inch, then settles back. You press again, this time slower, firmer. A soft scrape, a click. A seam reveals itself. The floor opens not with force, but with surrender. The marble piece lifts like the lid of a quiet chest, revealing a square of darkness just large enough for a single body to slip through. A thin draught of air whispers upward, cool and rich with the scent of stone long hidden from light. You breathe it in. It smells like secrets. It smells like time. You hold the edge of the opening. The room around you does not change, yet everything feels different now. The chapel is no longer only a place of prayer, it is a threshold. You lower yourself carefully, feet finding the first rung of an iron ladder, ancient but solid beneath your weight. The air grows cooler with each step down, until you feel the marble above close gently back into place. Darkness gathers around you like velvet, but you do not fear it. The dark here is not empty. It is full of memory, of story, of something alive. The ladder ends after a dozen rungs. Your feet touch stone ground. You stand, lantern in hand, striking a small spark. A warm glow fills the narrow passage. Walls curve close, carved from stone so old the chisel marks are smoothed by time. The tunnel stretches ahead, narrow but steady, leading into the heart of earth. You pause, listening. The silence is deep but not mute. You hear a drip somewhere far off, a single bead of water falling into stone. You hear the faint sigh of air moving through hidden vents. Most of all, you hear the pulse of your own breath echoing softly in the passage. In this place, even your breath feels like part of the architecture. You take a slow step forward. The stone beneath your feet is uneven, worn by centuries of others who walked before you. Pilgrims, priests, guards, you cannot say. But you feel them still, their footsteps pressed into the ground, their silence lingering in the walls. As you move, the tunnel dips slightly downward. The lantern glow paints shadows that stretch and bend like long fingers. You run your free hand along the wall, feeling grooves in the stone. Some are natural cracks, but some are deliberate. Faint crosses scratched into the surface, circles drawn in haste, small lines like tally marks, counting something only the carver knew. Each mark is a whisper, each whisper a fragment of story. You pause again. The air changes slightly colder, faintly metallic. You know without seeing that you are passing beneath one of the basilica's main altars. The energy above, prayers spoken by countless voices, seeps downward and lingers in the stone. You feel it in your chest, as though the tunnel itself remembers devotion. The passage narrows further, forcing you to slow, to lean close. At one point, you must turn sideways, your lantern grazing the wall. The flame flickers, casting a sudden gleam on a small plaque half hidden in shadow. You raise the light. It is Latin, carved so finely the letters remain crisp after centuries. Pax tecum, peace be with you, a greeting, a warning, or perhaps a promise. You trace the letters gently, feeling their depth. Ahead, the tunnel bends sharply left. You follow, and the air opens suddenly into a small chamber. The ceiling arches higher, giving space for your breath to rise. In the centre of the room is a stone slab, waist high, its surface smooth. Dust lies thick, but not untouched. Faint finger marks run across it, as though someone long ago brushed it clear to read what was once carved there. You lift your lantern closer. The carving is faint but still visible. A fish, simple, ancient, drawn in a single line. The mark of early faith, older than the grandeur above. You stand in quiet reverence, knowing this chamber was once a place of gathering, of safety, of whispered prayers, when faith was forbidden. The slab may have been an altar, or perhaps simply a table where bread was broken, water shared. The silence grows heavier, not oppressive, but deep. You place your hand on the slab, feeling its coolness seep into your palm. A pulse seems to travel upward from the stone, a reminder that what is hidden is not forgotten. For a moment, you close your eyes. You imagine the chamber filled with figures in flickering lamplight, their faces weary but bright with conviction. You hear the soft murmur of hymns, Words pass from mouth to ear, guarded yet unbroken. Then the vision fades, leaving only you, the slab, and the quiet. You lift your lantern again. On the far wall, opposite the entrance, is another door, this one smaller, almost hidden, its wood blackened by age. Iron hinges hold it steady, though rust gathers at their edges. You step closer. The wood bears no handle, only a single round indentation at shoulder height. You press your thumb into it. It fits perfectly, as though shaped for this very gesture. At your touch, the door gives the faintest sigh. It does not open yet, but you sense it is willing. Not locked, but waiting. Waiting for something more than force, perhaps a word, a tone, a presence. You do not speak. Not yet. Instead, you let the moment linger. This is the rhythm of the tunnels. Not rushing, not forcing, but waiting until the way opens on its own. Your lantern flame steadies. The air grows even cooler. You sense that beyond this door lies the true beginning. For now, you breathe, slow and sure, feeling the stone's patience wrap around you like a cloak. The journey has only just begun. The lantern trembles gently in your hand as you take a step closer to the small blackened door. For a moment you hesitate, then lower the light toward the ground. There, lying almost hidden against the wall, rests a thin roll of parchment. You kneel, the stone cold under your knees, and pick it up. The parchment feels warm, almost alive. As you unfurl it, the lantern glow reveals faint lines drawn in uneven strokes. A map. It is not a map of the basilica above. This one belongs to the world below. The lines curve and twist like veins in a living body. Some paths lead nowhere, stopping abruptly in blank stone. Others cross each other, marked with faint dots like footsteps. 3 symbols stand out: a cross, a circle, and a name written in script so delicate it is almost illegible. You squint, leaning closer. The letters shimmer as if they shift in the light, resisting full recognition. You whisper them aloud, testing the sound. The tunnel seems to inhale, the silence deepening, as though it has heard you. The map is not made with ink alone. When you tilt it, faint impressions rise from the page, as though pressed into the parchment with invisible tools. You trace one of the grooves with your fingertip. It tingles slightly, warm where the lantern's light should not reach. This is not a map to be seen, it is a map to be felt. You roll the parchment carefully and tuck it into your coat. The door in front of you still waits, its indentation cold against your skin. You touch it again, this time with your palm flat, and let your mind drift to the first symbol, the cross marked boldly on the parchment. At that thought, the door gives a soft click, a hinge loosens, and the wood shifts outward without sound. The passage beyond is narrower, forcing you to hold the lantern close. The flame paints trembling shadows along the curved walls. The ground slopes downward, and with every step, the air grows damper, carrying the scent of stone wet with centuries of dripping water. Somewhere ahead, you hear a faint splash, as if a drop fell into a pool. You pause to unroll the map once more. The cross is not far from where you stand. The path bends twice, then reaches a mark that seems to pulse faintly in your mind, even without seeing it. You follow, turning right, then left. Each step feels heavier, as if the air itself thickens the deeper you go. At last, you arrive at a wider chamber. Your lantern's glow reveals a carved niche in the wall. Inside rests a stone cross, simple and unadorned, its surface worn smooth by countless touches. You reach out, pressing your hand against it. Warmth spreads up your arm, though the stone is cold. In this place, the map aligns with the world, and the world whispers back. On the wall beside the cross is another carving, this one faint, nearly erased by time. A fish again, but larger, encircled by lines that form a compass. The fish points downward, the compass needle etched toward the circle mark on your map. The parchment grows warmer in your pocket, urging you onward. You step back into the tunnel, lantern lifted. The map guides you like a quiet pulse in your chest, reminding you where to turn, when to pause. Each bend feels deliberate, as though the tunnels themselves are designed to test your patience, to teach you stillness before revealing their heart. Your breath is slow now, steady. The lantern flame no longer trembles. The map is more than paper, it is a companion. You realize the tunnels are not meant to be conquered. They are meant to be walked with reverence. Far behind you, the door closes on its own. Ahead, the circle waits. The tunnel slopes gently downward, and with each step, the sound of dripping water fades, replaced by something softer, an almost inaudible murmur. At first, you think it is your own breath, echoing strangely in the stone. But as you pause, holding the lantern close, you realize the sound is not yours. It is older, thinner, woven into the walls themselves. You lean closer, pressing your ear to the damp mortar between two great stones. The sound grows clearer, not words at first, but rhythms like prayer spoken by many voices in unison. The language is strange, perhaps Latin, perhaps older, but the cadence feels familiar. It rises and falls like waves against a shore, steady and calm. You step forward slowly, hand against the wall. Every few paces, the voices swell, then recede, as if guiding you towards something deeper. The map warms against your chest, confirming this is no accident. These tunnels are alive with memory, and memory speaks if you are quiet enough to hear. The walls here are carved with faint marks, harder to see than before. Letters etched shallowly, half erased by time. You trace them gently, single words, fides, lux, vita, faith, light, life. They are scattered like breadcrumbs for the faithful, reminders of purpose left behind by hands that once trembled in the dark. As you continue, the murmurs change. They no longer sound like prayer. Now they resemble whispers of warning, urgent but not hostile. You pause, listening. One phrase repeats, low and steady, as though carved into the very breath of the stone. You cannot translate it, yet your body understands. The meaning is clear. Slow down. You obey. Your steps soften, your breath steadies further, and the voices ease. The tunnel feels less narrow, less pressing. You realize the mortar itself holds the memory of all who walked here, each prayer, each vow, each caution. To rush is to ignore their guidance. To listen is to be welcomed. Deeper still, you come to a curve where the wall bulges outward. In the stone are small alcoves, just wide enough to hold oil lamps. Their glass is gone, but soot stains remain, black streaks like shadows frozen in place. You lift your lantern, watching how the flame flickers against them. The whispers swell again, clearer now. They tell you to pause, to let your own light join the lights that once burned here. You set the lantern in one alcove. The chamber glows as though awakened. Shadows dance across the walls, and for a moment you see the room as it must have been. A row of flickering lamps, each one carried by a pilgrim, each one placed with hope. The whispers grow into a harmony, dozens of voices overlapping until they sound like a hymn. You close your eyes, breathing slowly, letting the sound carry you. The words are still unknown, but the feeling is unmistakable. Welcome, traveller. Welcome, dreamer. Welcome to the path. When you open your eyes again, the whispers fade back into murmurs. You retrieve your lantern, its flame steady, its warmth reassuring. Ahead, the passage narrows once more, pulling you forward. But now, you understand the rule of these tunnels. You cannot move carelessly. You must walk in rhythm with the voices in the mortar, letting them guide your pace, your breath, your heart. The circle on your map glows faintly in your mind. Somewhere ahead, the whispers will lead you to it. For now, you walk, one breath at a time, each step an answer to voices that never died, only settled into stone. The tunnel listens as you move. The mortar remembers, and you are no longer alone. The whispers in the mortar soften until they fade into silence once more. You hold the lantern higher as the tunnel bends into shadow, its walls narrowing like the throat of a passage that resists being walked. The ground here is uneven, marked by grooves where countless feet or perhaps dragged stones once carved their memory. You step slowly, careful not to disturb the rhythm of the place. Then, ahead, the flicker of your lantern reveals something different, a wall that does not look like the others. Where the tunnels have always been carved directly from stone, this one is smoother, interrupted by a tall wooden door blackened with age. Iron studs glint in your light. They form no pattern at first, only chaos, until you step closer and realize each stud hides a lock. 6 keyholes stare back at you like empty eyes. They are not aligned neatly, but scattered, one near the top hinge, another at waist level, 3 clustered close together, and one nearly hidden near the ground. You crouch, lantern low, to study them. Each is shaped differently, one round, another square, one triangular, one shaped like a star. 6 in total, each worn, but still unbroken. You reach for your map. The parchment warms instantly, pulsing faintly against your palm. When you unroll it, you see the same scatter of shapes inked faintly along the edge near the circle. But here is the detail the door hides. A 7th mark, no keyhole, no stud, only a hollow space drawn as if waiting to be noticed. You touch the wood again. It is solid, heavy, and yet it feels incomplete. 6 locks are real. The 7th is not seen, and yet, without it, the door will not open. You kneel, resting your ear against the grain. At first, there is nothing but silence, then a faint hum like stone vibrating. You listen deeper, closing your eyes. The hum is steady, like a heartbeat. It is the 7th lock, not on the surface, not in the iron, but within the rhythm of the wood itself. A lock of sound. You rise, lantern steady, your breath slows. You exhale in time with the hum, listening carefully. The rhythm is slow, patient. You match it. Inhale, exhale, letting your chest fall in harmony with the unseen pulse. At first nothing changes. Then, as your breath steadies, one of the locks clicks softly. You do not force the others. You continue breathing, steady, calm. One by one, each keyhole responds not to metal, not to pressure, but to rhythm. A second click, then a third. By the time the 6th clicks open, the hum in the wood has grown softer, almost relieved. Still, the door does not swing open. You recall the 7th mark on the parchment, the hollow space. The missing lock is not sound alone, it is presence. You place your palm flat against the wood and simply wait. You do not think of the door, or the tunnel, or the chamber behind it. You think of peace, of trust, of walking with reverence rather than conquest. The hum fades, the wood warms beneath your palm. Slowly, the door sighs open without a creak, as though grateful you did not force it. Beyond lies a corridor wider than any you have walked so far. The ceiling rises into shadow, too high for your lantern to reach. The air carries a cool draught, tinged faintly with incense long faded. Your footsteps sound different here, less echo, more depth, as though the tunnel swallows the noise whole. You step through, leaving the 7 locks behind. The map in your pocket warms again, urging you onward. And though the corridor ahead stretches into darkness, you no longer feel it as threat. The gate has tested your patience. Now the tunnels begin to trust you. The corridor opens into a chamber vast enough for your lantern to struggle. Shadows stretch like giants against the curved walls. You hold the flame higher, its glow reaching just far enough to reveal the edges of stone alcoves carved neatly along both sides. Inside each alcove rests what remains of bodies long returned to dust. Rows of skulls and bones, arranged carefully, almost reverently, stare silently into the dark. You step lightly, careful not to disturb the stillness. These are no forgotten remains. Each set of bones has been placed with purpose, as if each was entrusted to the earth with a blessing. Crosses carved above some alcoves confirm what you feel. These are the graves of early believers, hidden away when the world above was not yet safe. You pause before one alcove that seems different. The bones are not arranged in rows, but rest beneath a stone slab carved with a fish. The symbol is familiar now, but here it is larger, more deliberate, carved with hands that took care. The slab is cracked slightly, the edges worn smooth by centuries of touches. You kneel, pressing your palm against it. The stone is colder than the air, and yet beneath that chill, you feel something stirring a current like water flowing deep underground. The map grows warm in your pocket. You pull it out and see how one line, faint before, now glows brighter, pointing toward this very slab. The cross mark you followed earlier was only the beginning. Here lies something deeper. You close your eyes. For a moment the silence breaks, and you hear water, waves lapping gently against a wooden hull. You smell salt, sea spray carried on wind. The bones beneath the slab are not only remains, they are memory. The memory of a fisherman who once cast nets in Galilee, who once walked with the one called Teacher. Whether these bones truly belong to him or another who carried his legacy, the weight of devotion is unmistakable. You bow your head, not in fear but in respect. You whisper no prayer, only gratitude. The air seems to respond. A soft rush brushes your face, as though unseen hands acknowledge your presence. The tunnel continues beyond the chamber, but before you rise, you trace the fish once more, pressing your fingers into its carved lines. Something clicks softly beneath the slab. You hear stone shifting faintly, though nothing moves visibly. Perhaps another door has been unlocked deeper in the passage. Perhaps only the memory itself has opened something in you. You rise slowly, lantern steady. The alcoves on either side seem to watch as you pass, but there is no fear. The silence is not empty, it is protective, like guardianship without motion. Each skull, each bone, each mark carved in stone whispers the same thing. Remember. When you reach the far end of the chamber, the tunnel narrows once more, leading downward. The air grows damper, carrying the faint scent of earth long sealed. You step forward, lantern high, feeling the presence of those who walked before you. The bones of the fisherman remain behind, but the current of his memory flows with you. The tunnel descends until the walls grow rougher, less worked by human hands. Your lantern flame trembles as the draft shifts. Ahead, the passage splits. 2 ways forward, one left and one right, each bending into darkness. You stop at the fork, lantern held between them. The map is warm in your hand, but for the first time it offers no clear line. Both paths glow faintly, as though each is true. You listen. To the left is silence, still and cool. To the right is a faint sound, like water dripping but sharper, as though falling into metal. You close your eyes, breathing slowly. The mortar is gone here, the stone is raw. Yet still, voices linger. They do not whisper prayers. They chant, low and rhythmic, a song unfamiliar yet steady. You choose the right-hand path, drawn by the sound. The air grows warmer, the walls closer, until at last the passage widens into a chamber unlike any you have seen. Carved into the floor is a circle, its edges marked with symbols not of the cross but of something older. At the centre, a figure carved in relief, a man slaying a bull, cloak spread like wings. Mithras. The chamber hums faintly with old power. This is no Christian shrine. It belongs to another faith, one that flourished in secret before fading into history. Yet here it remains, preserved beneath the heart of the Vatican, untouched yet not erased. You walk slowly around the circle, lantern casting long shadows. The carvings are worn, but the story is clear. Sacrifice, strength, victory over darkness. The voices you heard before seem to echo faintly here, though no one is present. Perhaps it is memory, perhaps something more. You kneel at the circle's edge, touching the stone. It is warm, as if the carvings themselves hold heat. For a moment, you feel pulled between two worlds, the faith above and the faith preserved here in silence. Not enemies, but neighbours in stone. Each sought meaning in the dark. Each guarded its secrets in the earth. The map in your hand does not grow warmer, but it does not resist either. It accepts this place as part of the path. You realise now the tunnels are not only Christian. They are a weave of all that has come before, each layer preserved beneath the other like strata in the earth. You bow your head once more, not in worship of Mithras, but in respect for those who carved their devotion here. The air shifts softly, the chanting fades, and the path beyond reveals itself, a narrow opening on the far side of the chamber, half hidden by fallen stone. You squeeze through, lantern first. The passage is tight, scraping your shoulders, until it opens again into a smooth corridor. The air cools. The symbols of Mithras vanish behind you. Ahead lies the next secret, waiting in the dark. The crossroads remain in your memory. Two paths, two faiths, woven together in silence. The tunnels do not choose, they hold everything. And they wait for those who will walk without judgment, only with listening. The corridor narrows again, and as you press forward, the cool air thickens with the smell of damp stone. Your lantern flame trembles in the draught, stretching shadows against the uneven wall. The sound returns a steady drip, 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 echoing faintly in the distance. You follow it, the rhythm guiding you as though water itself were calling you deeper. The tunnel slopes downward, the floor slick beneath your boots. The walls grow darker, streaked with mineral stains from centuries of slow leaks. You pause to touch one streak, and your fingers come away wet. The water is cold, sharp, ancient. You press it to your lips. It tastes of earth, of iron, of time. The dripping grows louder as you advance. Soon the tunnel widens into a low chamber where a narrow aqueduct cuts straight through the stone. The channel glitters faintly in your lantern light, water running smooth and steady along its path. The sound is soothing, yet purposeful, like a voice that never ceases to speak. You kneel beside the stream, lowering your lantern. The water catches the light, sending ripples of gold dancing across the ceiling. You follow those ripples with your eyes and notice something etched into the stone above. Faint carvings of waves, almost invisible until the lantern revealed them. Symbols left to honour the flow, to remind those who walked here that water is more than resource. It is guide, it is guardian. Your map warms in your pocket. When you open it, the lines shift slightly, as though the water has redrawn the path. The cross and circle remain, but a new line glows faintly, tracing the aqueduct itself. You understand now. To follow the water is to stay true. To lose it is to stray. You rise and begin walking along the channel. The sound steadies your breath, each inhale and exhale falling into rhythm with the flowing current. The air here is fresher, touched by some unseen vent above. You realise that water is not only guidance, it is connection. The aqueduct threads the underground city together, carrying life from chamber to chamber, from age to age. As you walk, you pass alcoves carved into the stone. Each one holds small clay jars sealed with wax, their surfaces etched with simple marks. You pick one up. It is light, almost empty. When you hold it to your ear, you hear a faint slosh. Inside, drops of the same water, sealed as though to be carried as blessings, or perhaps as proof of connection to the sacred line. You replace the jar gently and move on. The water's song continues, unbroken. Your lantern light glints off its surface, reflecting shapes that seem almost intentional. Once, you see the shadow of a fish. Another time, the curve of a cross. You blink, and they vanish back into ripples. The water does not lie, but it does not reveal without patience. At length, the aqueduct curves into a smaller passage. You crouch low to follow it, your lantern brushing the ceiling. The water grows louder, rushing now, until you emerge in a cavernous space. Here, the aqueduct empties into a shallow pool, its surface smooth as glass. The chamber is vast, the ceiling vanishing into shadow, the air filled with the quiet echo of falling drops. You kneel at the pool's edge, watching your reflection shimmer in the water. But it is not only your face you see. Shapes drift across the surface, faces not your own, eyes closed in prayer, hands folded in devotion. Perhaps they are memories of those who once knelt here. Perhaps the water itself remembers everyone who touched it. You dip your hand into the pool. The water is colder than before, biting yet pure. When you lift your hand, droplets slide down your wrist and fall back with soft plinks. The sound echoes like chimes. The map warms again. You unfold it and see the circle glowing brighter. It lies just beyond this chamber, through a passage hidden in shadow. You rise, lantern high, scanning the walls. At first you see nothing. Then your light catches a faint outline, a door of stone carved so seamlessly into the wall it is invisible without water's reflection. You angle the lantern. The ripples illuminate the edges perfectly, drawing the doorway with shimmering lines. You approach. The stone door bears no handle, only a small hole at its base. You kneel, cupping water from the pool, and pour it into the hollow. The stone shivers softly, as though quenched. Slowly, silently, the door begins to sink downward, disappearing into the floor. Beyond lies darkness deeper than any you have seen. The air rushes outward, cool and damp, as though the passage has waited centuries for this breath. You step through, lantern raised. Behind you, the stone door rises again, sealing with a sigh. The aqueduct falls silent. The water remains behind, a guide now fulfilled. Ahead, the circle waits in the dark. The new passage is narrow, pressing close against your shoulders. The air is still, dust thick on the floor. You move slowly, each step stirring faint clouds that sparkle in your lantern light. The silence is so complete, you can hear your heartbeat echo in the stone. Then, the tunnel widens slightly into a small alcove. At first, it looks empty. Then, your light catches the edge of something carved into the wall, a niche no larger than a man's desk. You step closer, lantern raised. Inside the niche is a slab of stone smoothed flat, its surface scored with lines as though a stylus once scratched across it again and again. A scribe's desk, hidden deep in the tunnels. On the slab rests fragments of parchment, brittle with age, edges curled. Most are illegible, faded to brown shadows. But one fragment still holds faint ink. You lift it carefully. The letters are Latin, written in a hurried hand. Custodi lumen, guard the light. The words settle into you with weight. Not an instruction only for the writer, but for all who walk here. You place the fragment back gently, knowing the parchment belongs to the alcove as much as the alcove belongs to the tunnels. Your lantern reveals more. A small shelf above the desk, carved with grooves for scrolls. Empty now, save for one wooden cylinder cracked with time. You slide it free. It is lighter than expected, hollow. When you peer inside, dust coats the walls, but at the bottom glints a sliver of gold leaf. You shake it gently, and a curled scrap falls into your hand. The fragment is tiny, but the letters shimmer as if freshly written. You cannot read them, but the glow feels alive. The alcove itself hums faintly, like a room that once held many voices but now speaks in silence. You place the fragment back, restoring it to the cylinder. Some secrets are not meant to be carried away. They are meant to remain guardians for those who find them. On the side wall of the alcove, hidden low, you notice scratches. They look at first like damage, but when traced together, they form shapes. Arrows, circles, small marks like codes. Perhaps directions, perhaps warnings. You run your finger along them and the map warms in your pocket. When you unroll it, the circle glows stronger than ever. its lines aligning with the scratched markings on the wall. The alcove is not only a scribe's desk, it is a signpost. You kneel on the dusty floor, lantern beside you. For a moment, you imagine the scribe who once worked here, bent over his desk, stylus in hand, recording words that could never be spoken aloud above. You see him pausing to listen, scratching codes into the wall to guide those who would come after. You hear his whisper, "Guard the light." You close your eyes. The alcove seems to breathe around you. The dust shifts faintly, as if stirred by hands unseen. You open your eyes and see nothing new, yet feel the presence linger. The scribe is gone, but his desk remains, his task unbroken. You rise, brushing dust from your hands. The passage beyond beckons, narrower still, as though only those who stoop in humility may pass. You duck low, lantern before you, and leave the alcove behind. The desk remains, watching, guarding the light for all who come after. The tunnel curves sharply, and suddenly the air grows warmer. Your lantern light spills into a wider space, and you catch the shimmer of colours on the wall. You step closer, and there it is, a mosaic, ancient and worn, yet still vivid in the glow. Tiny tiles form the image of an eye, open and watchful. Around it, patterns of gold and blue swirl like rays of light. The tiles are chipped, some missing, but the gaze remains strong. The eye looks not forward but sideways, tilted left as though glancing into the tunnel beyond. You stand before it, lantern lifted, studying the detail. The eye is not merely decoration, it is instruction, a guide hidden in art. The scribe's codes led you here, and the mosaic confirms it. The path lies to the left. You press your hand against the wall. The tiles are smooth, cool. For a moment you feel a vibration beneath them, faint but real, as though the mosaic itself is alive, whispering, "Look where I look." You turn left. The passage yawns dark, but the map in your pocket glows with heat. When you open it, the circle burns brightest yet, its lines stretching directly into this tunnel. You fold the parchment and step forward. The mosaic watches as you go. You glance back once, and in the lantern's flicker the eye seems to blink, tiles shifting as if alive. Perhaps it is only shadow, perhaps not. The tunnel ahead is narrow but straight. The air thickens, carrying the faint scent of oil, of burning lamps long extinguished. The floor is smoother here, worn as though many feet have passed. You realize you are not the first to follow the mosaic's gaze. Countless others trusted it before you. You walk steadily, each step echoing softly. The circle is close now. You feel it in your chest, a steady pull forward. The mosaic has pointed you true, and still, behind you, in the chamber of colour and stone, the eye remains open, watching, guiding, guarding the way for those yet to come. The tunnel stretches onward, narrow and dim, the air damp against your skin. The mosaic's gaze has led you true, but now the silence deepens again. Your lantern casts trembling light on the walls, where faint scratches run in jagged lines like letters erased by time. You follow them, hand brushing the stone, until the passage halts before another door. It is small, set low into the wall, its wood dark and heavy. Unlike the gate of 7 locks, this one bears no visible keyholes, no hinges. At first glance it seems sealed forever, but then you notice a small hollow in the centre of the wood, worn smooth as though many lips once pressed close. You crouch low, lantern beside you, and lean closer. When you exhale gently into the hollow, the door responds with a faint vibration. You whisper a sound, any word, and the vibration shifts, but the wood remains shut. The door is not moved by touch. It responds to voice, to breath, to something carried not in the body, but in the tone of the soul. You take the map from your pocket. The parchment is warm, lines glowing faintly. Above the glowing circle is a symbol you had not noticed before, 3 curved lines, like waves of sound. The map is telling you what the wood already knows. The lock is not iron, It is voice. You sit back on your heels, closing your eyes. Around you, the silence seems deeper than silence, waiting for you to choose your word. What word belongs to the tunnels? What word has guided you from the first descent? Not conquest, not fear, but something simple, older than walls. You inhale, exhale. Then, softly, barely louder than breath, you whisper, "Pax." The wood quivers. A faint sigh escapes the seams. Encouraged, you whisper again, this time with more certainty. "Pax," peace. The word that was carved in stone in an earlier chamber, the greeting of unseen hands. The hollow warms beneath your lips. A click sounds faintly, then another. The seams of the door glow softly in the lantern light. With one final exhale, you whisper once more, "Pax tecum," peace be with you. The wood breathes in response. Slowly, without creak, the door swings open, revealing a darkness denser than the one before. You retrieve your lantern, rising to step through. The space beyond is narrow at first, then expands suddenly into a chamber round and tall. The ceiling curves high above, vanishing into shadow. In the centre stands a pedestal of stone, its surface smooth. Resting upon it is a single clay vessel, sealed with wax. You step closer, lantern raised. The vessel bears a mark the fish again, drawn simple and strong. You trace it with your finger. The clay is cool, but beneath it you feel something alive, as though the vessel itself breathes faintly. You do not open it. The tunnels have taught you that not every secret is meant for hands. Some are only for hearts. You bow your head, whispering again, "Pax." The chamber responds with a soft rush of air, as though acknowledging your reverence. You linger a moment longer, then turn back to the passage. As you step out, the small door closes behind you with a gentle sigh. No lock, no sound, only stillness. The whispered password is now part of you, and the tunnels know it. Ahead, the path bends downward once more, drawing you closer to the unseen depths. The map in your pocket grows warm. The circle's glow softens, but a new line emerges. The journey continues, and the tunnels wait. The passage winds downward in steady curves, until the air grows heavier, tinged with a strange scent. Not dampness, not earth, but something sharper, burnt wood, old smoke, the faint tang of fire. Your lantern flame flickers violently, as though the air itself resists light. You press on, and soon the tunnel opens into a chamber darker than any before. The stone walls are streaked with black soot. The floor is littered with fragments of charred wood, brittle beneath your boots. In the centre rests a chest, iron-bound, its surface covered in ash. The air here feels thick, heavy with memory. You kneel before the chest, lantern close. Its iron straps are rusted but intact. The lock is broken, twisted by heat long ago. You brush ash from the lid, revealing faint etchings beneath. They are nearly erased, but you can make out letters Latin again, though scarred by fire. Lux in tenebris, light in darkness. Slowly, you lift the lid. A puff of ash rises like a sigh, filling the air. Inside are objects wrapped in soot-blackened cloth. You unwrap one carefully. A reliquary, small and golden, its surface scorched but still gleaming beneath the ash. Inside rests a fragment of bone, labelled with a tag so faint you cannot read it. Another bundle holds a silver cross, its arms bent slightly by heat. Another reveals a strip of parchment, edges burned, words half gone. You replace each relic gently, knowing they are fragile, sacred not for their survival, but for their endurance. The fire did not consume them fully. They remain, scarred yet whole, carrying memory through destruction. You sit back on your heels, letting the weight of the room settle over you. You imagine the flames that once licked these walls, the smoke that once filled this chamber. Perhaps it was accident. Perhaps it was purpose. Perhaps someone tried to erase what the tunnels held, but could not finish the task. The ash itself has become guardian, sealing the relics in silence. The map warms faintly. When you unroll it, you see that this chamber has no mark. It is not on the charted path. It is a secret within a secret, revealed only to those who listen long enough. You bow your head over the chest. The relics are not for you to carry. They are for the tunnels to keep. You lower the lid, pressing it closed gently. The ash stirs once more, then settles. As you rise, you notice something glinting faintly in the corner of the chamber. You step closer, lantern raised. A small coin lies half buried in ash, its surface split down the middle. One half gleams gold, the other blackened by flame. You pick it up. It is heavy for its size, warm in your palm. The split line runs perfectly through the center, as though it belongs to something incomplete. You slip the coin into your pocket. Unlike the relics, this feels meant to travel with you, a fragment waiting for its twin. You leave the chamber slowly, footsteps quiet in the ash. The tunnel welcomes you back with cool air, washing the scent of fire from your skin. The relics remain behind, hidden in darkness, ash and gold together as testimony. The path bends downward again, the map glowing faintly with new lines. The coin in your pocket presses against your side, heavy with meaning you do not yet understand. The tunnel narrows once more, twisting downward like a serpent. Your lantern throws shadows that ripple along the walls, making the stone seem alive. The air grows cooler, and with each step you feel a faint tremor beneath your feet. At first, you think it is your imagination. Then the tremor grows into rhythm, soft, steady, like footsteps above. You stop, lantern still. The sound fades. The tunnels are reminding you that you are never truly alone. You move on. Soon, the passage opens into a staircase carved directly into the stone, spiraling downward in a tight curve. You descend slowly, lantern brushing the walls. The steps are worn smooth by centuries of feet. Midway down, the stair splits. One path continues downward, darker and narrower. The other curves upward toward faint light. You pause at the fork, standing between two choices. The upward path glows faintly with warmth, as though it leads closer to the surface. You hear muffled echoes above, perhaps voices, perhaps bells from the basilica high overhead. Safety lies that way, a return to what is known. The downward path is silent, swallowing sound. No echoes, no warmth, only cool air rising from the depths. The map warms in your pocket. When you unroll it, the glowing line bends firmly downward, away from light, into shadow. You linger a moment longer, lantern shifting between both stairs. The upward path calls gently, like a reminder of home. But you know the tunnels have never guided you toward safety. They lead deeper, always deeper. You turn and place your foot on the first step downward. The air grows colder, sharper. The lantern flame shrinks, struggling. You shield it with your hand and keep walking. The spiral tightens, the walls pressing close. At last, the stair ends in a small landing. Before you is another door, this one plain stone carved directly into the wall. No handles, no hinges. Only a seam faintly visible in your lantern light. On the seam is a mark, the same fish symbol, but this time split in two halves, one on each side of the crack. You reach into your pocket and draw the coin. Its surface glints, half gold, half blackened. You hold it up to the symbol. The split lines match perfectly. You press the coin against the seam. The stone vibrates faintly. Slowly, the halves of the fish glow, then fade. The seam opens, stone sliding aside to reveal a narrow passage beyond. The coin grows warm in your hand, then cools. You slip it back into your pocket, its task unfinished but no longer hidden. You step through the doorway. The air here feels different, denser, as though you have crossed into another layer of time. The silence is deeper, almost absolute. Your footsteps vanish before they echo. The stair behind you closes silently, sealing the choice. There is no turning back now. You lift your lantern higher. The map glows faintly once more, showing a new mark ahead. The path stretches into black, deeper and deeper. And somewhere in that black waits the next secret, older than ash, older than wood, older even than the voices in the mortar. The stone door behind you sealed without a sound, leaving only the steady glow of your lantern and the path stretching ahead. The air is dense here, heavier than anywhere you've been. Every breath feels weighted with memory. The tunnel slopes gently downward, the walls smooth as though polished by countless hands. Your footsteps fall quietly, swallowed instantly by the silence. After some time, you notice faint markings etched into the stone. At first, they look like scratches, random lines across the surface. But as you draw closer with your lantern, the scratches form letters. Names. Row after row of names carved into the wall, stretching along the tunnel. Each one plain, unadorned, written without family title or honorific. Simple first names, some familiar, others foreign, many ancient. You trace one with your fingers. The letters are shallow but deliberate, carved by hand with care. The stone is cold, yet beneath it you feel something warm, as if the names still carry the breath of those who made them. You move slowly, lantern raised, letting the glow pass over them. Each name whispers in silence. Each name remembers. The tunnel opens into a wider chamber, and here the names multiply. Every wall is covered from floor to ceiling, a tapestry of letters carved in countless hands. Some are neat and careful, others rushed and jagged, yet all share the same humility. No grand monuments, no titles, only names. You pause in the centre of the chamber, lantern casting its light in slow circles. The air hums faintly, not sound but presence. You feel surrounded by lives that once breathed and prayed, hidden away in these depths. This place is no crypt. It is a ledger, a sacred record. Those who walked these tunnels left their names behind, not for glory, but for remembrance. The map in your pocket warms, urging you to pay attention. You unroll it, and for the first time the parchment seems to pulse with light. The circle glows, but faint lines spread outward from it like veins, each one ending in a name. You run your finger along the parchment, and though you cannot read the names clearly, you know they belong here. You close your eyes, letting the presence of the chamber settle over you. Whispers rise in your mind, not words you can recognize, but the sound of countless voices layered together. A low murmur of prayer, of confession, of memory. The chamber is alive with them. You bow your head. For a long moment, you simply breathe with the names, honoring them with silence. When you lift your head again, the map has shifted. One line glows brighter than the rest, pointing toward a far wall. You lift your lantern, moving closer. There, half hidden in shadow, you see a narrow passage cut between the names. At its entrance, one final carving. Not a name, but a phrase in Latin. Omnes unum sunt, all are one. You touch the phrase lightly, then step into the narrow passage. The chamber of names falls silent behind you, but its weight remains with you. The humility of those who carved here, their presence still alive in the stone, moves with you now. Ahead lies deeper shadow, and secrets waiting to be spoken. The narrow passage runs straight for some distance, its ceiling low enough that you must stoop. The walls are plain, smooth stone, free of carvings. It feels as though the tunnel has stripped itself bare, leading you towards something that must remain uncluttered. At last, the passage opens into a chamber small but tall. Your lantern's glow stretches upward, revealing a vaulted ceiling that disappears into shadow. At the centre of the room stands a heavy iron door, sealed tight. Across its surface run thick cords of red braid, knotted in intricate patterns, each knot pressed with wax. The seals gleam faintly in the lantern light. You step closer. The wax bears impressions of symbols, crosses, circles, letters you cannot recognize. Some are faint with age, others sharp, as if pressed only days ago. The braids themselves hum faintly, as though alive, as though woven not just of cord but of intention. This is no ordinary barrier. This is an archive seal, the kind that does not yield to strength, but to stillness. You kneel before it, lantern set to the side. You touch one cord lightly. It vibrates beneath your fingers, humming faintly. The sound is not random. It is tone, a low resonance that seems to invite harmony. You close your eyes, breathing slowly. The tunnels have taught you patience, reverence, quiet. You match your breath to the hum, letting your chest rise and fall in rhythm. The braid warms beneath your hand. Another cord hums, then another, until the whole seal thrums softly, like a harp strung across stone. The wax seals remain unbroken, yet the sound shifts, deepens. You whisper the word that has guided you before, Pax. The chords vibrate more strongly. You whisper again, Lux, light. The chamber itself seems to breathe with you. The map in your pocket glows hot. When you unroll it, a new symbol has appeared, a small flame above the circle. The parchment itself hums faintly in harmony with the chords. You press it gently against the door. The hum rises, then falls into silence. The braids loosen, the wax softens, dripping to the floor in quiet drops. Slowly, the iron door swings inward. Behind it is not shelves of scrolls, not relics in boxes, but a single stone pedestal. On it rests a scroll, sealed in gold leaf, its surface unbroken. You approach carefully, lantern raised. The scroll glitters faintly, as though light lives inside it. You do not touch it. You do not need to. Just standing near, you feel its presence. Weight and light, history and possibility bound together. The chamber is silent now, the hum gone. You bow your head before the pedestal, honouring what is kept here. Then you step back, leaving the scroll untouched. Some knowledge is not for hands. It is for guardianship. The iron door closes slowly as you retreat, sealing itself once more. The cords reweave, the wax seals reform, as though the opening never occurred. But you know it did. The tunnels know you did. You take your lantern and step back into the passage. The map cools in your pocket, its glow fading to a steady warmth. The archive remains sealed, but it has allowed you to witness. That alone is enough. The passage bends downward again, drawing you further. The memory of the scroll lingers in your mind, a weightless presence, and you know that what lies ahead is older still. The tunnel curves gently, the air growing cooler, fresher, as though drawing you towards something alive. Your lantern flame steadies, its glow stronger than before. The silence here is not empty, but waiting, like a page ready to be written. After some time, you reach a chamber, small and round. The floor is covered in dust, yet the centre remains clear, as though brushed clean by invisible hands. On the ground lies a sheet of parchment, curled at the edges but intact. You kneel, lantern close. The parchment is pale, almost luminous. You reach out to lift it, but before your fingers touch, you feel warmth radiating from it. You pause, then gently lift it. The parchment is warm in your hands, pulsing faintly like breath. You hold it closer to the lantern. At first it seems blank. Then letters begin to appear, rising slowly as though ink forms from the fibres themselves. Words in Latin flow across the surface, glowing faintly before fading again. You cannot catch them all, but a few linger long enough to read. Verbum, lumen, anima, word, light, soul. The parchment shifts under your fingers, soft as though alive. You turn it over. On the back, faint outlines of symbols appear. A fish, a cross, a circle. They pulse once, then vanish. The paper is not record. It is mirror. It reveals what you bring to it, breathing with your own presence. You close your eyes, holding it gently. In the darkness behind your lids, words form not written by ink, but whispered within your mind. They are not commands, not secrets, but reminders. Guard the light. Walk with peace. Listen. When you open your eyes, The parchment is blank once more. You fold it carefully, placing it back on the ground where it lay. It belongs to the chamber, not to you. But as you stand, you notice dust shifting around the parchment, moving in faint lines. Slowly, letters form in the dust on the floor. You crouch, lantern low, and read, Sequer spiritum, follow the breath. You bow your head. The paper does not need to travel with you. Its message is already within you. You lift your lantern and step out of the chamber. The dust swirls faintly behind you, erasing the letters as though they were never written. The tunnel curves again, deeper still. The map glows in your pocket, steady as a heartbeat. The paper remains behind, breathing in silence. Ahead, the tunnels draw you further into their heart, and you walk on, carrying the words with you. The tunnel deepens into silence so profound you can hear the faint rush of your own blood. Your lantern glows steadily, throwing soft circles of light onto stone polished smooth by time. The path bends sharply, then widens into a high chamber where the air shifts. It is cooler here, scented faintly of wax, though no candle burns. You pause, lantern raised. The chamber feels empty, but then a sound threads through the air, soft at first, almost like wind slipping through cracks in stone. Then fuller, layered, voices blending together. It is not loud, it is gentle, like breath carried through vaulted ceilings, a choir singing where no choir stands. You step further in, listening. The sound does not come from one place, it comes from everywhere, echoing within the very walls. The voices sing in tones both strange and familiar, a language you cannot grasp but a rhythm you know. Their harmony is steady, slow, pulling at the quietest places within you. You set your lantern on the ground and close your eyes. Without light, the chamber becomes sound alone. The voices swell, rising and falling, as though directed by a hand unseen. You feel them vibrating in your chest, pressing gently against your ribs, a resonance that carries beyond ears. You open your mouth slightly, breathing with the choir. At first, your breath is only air. Then, without planning, you hum a single note. The chamber responds. The voices shift slightly, folding your tone into theirs. You hum again, and the resonance deepens. You are part of the choir now, though you cannot see them. The map warms against your chest. You open your eyes to unroll it, and in the lantern's glow you see new lines appear, drawn in curves that mimic the rise and fall of sound. The parchment itself hums faintly, vibrating as though it has become another singer. The circle glows brighter, pulsing with the rhythm of the unseen hymn. You kneel on the stone floor, eyes closed again. The choir swells once more, voices climbing higher. Then suddenly, all sound cuts off, leaving silence so sharp it echoes louder than any note. For a moment you think it is gone. Then you hear a single word whispered close, so close it might have been breathed against your ear. Adesto, be present. The lantern flame flickers violently, then steadies. The choir does not return. But the silence now hums with memory of it, as though every stone in this chamber still vibrates with the voices. You stand, bowing your head in quiet gratitude. You lift the lantern again and step toward the far side of the chamber. A narrow doorway stands open, carved without ornament, plain as though unnoticed. You pass through it. The map cools slightly, though the circle glows steady. Behind you, the chamber of voices rests silent, yet alive. The choir is not gone. It waits, forever echoing in the stone, ready for any who dare to listen. The new tunnel is straight and low, the ceiling forcing you to stoop. Your lantern light glints off something ahead. At first you think it is whetstone. Then you draw closer and see it. An iron lattice stretched across the passage, bars thick and blackened with age. You raise the lantern. The lattice is solid, embedded deep into the walls. Its bars cross in diamond patterns, leaving only small spaces too narrow to pass through. Behind it, the tunnel continues, vanishing into dark. You step closer, pressing your hand against the iron. It is cold, colder than stone, colder even than water. The chill seeps into your palm, stiffening your fingers. You pull away quickly. The lattice hums faintly, not with sound, but with resistance, as though it knows you are here. Your map glows faintly. You unroll it. The line leading here halts at the lattice, then continues faintly beyond it. No mark for a key, no symbol for a lock. Only a thin dotted line that looks more like breath than ink. You kneel, lantern beside you, and study the floor. Dust is thick, but within it faint grooves stretch from one side of the lattice to the other, as though many hands pressed something through, or many bodies reached across, never crossing fully. The iron does not open. It is not meant to. It is meant to test what you can pass without crossing. You take a slow breath, letting the map's dotted line guide you. You close your eyes. In darkness, you see the lattice still, bars crossing before you. But you also feel something else, space between. Gaps too narrow for body, yet wide enough for breath, for thought, for intention. You exhale slowly, imagining your breath passing through the iron. The chill eases. You inhale, then exhale again. Each breath slips through like water through stone cracks. The map warms faintly, confirming the path is not through body, but through presence. You whisper softly, not words but tone, letting your breath carry sound. The iron vibrates faintly. You continue, breath steady, hum low. The vibration deepens until the bars shimmer faintly in lantern light. For a moment, they seem less solid, almost transparent. You press your palm against them once more. This time the iron does not resist. It yields faintly, as though softened by your breath. You step forward carefully. Your body cannot pass, but your awareness does. You feel yourself slipping through, not pushing, not forcing, but carried on the current of sound. When you open your eyes, you are on the other side. The lattice remains behind, solid and cold, yet you have passed. The lantern is in your hand, its flame unshaken. The map glows steady, the dotted line now whole. You turn back once. The lattice hums faintly, then stills. You bow your head in thanks, then continue forward. The tunnel stretches on, and you walk lighter now, knowing the iron was never barrier, only lesson. What cannot be passed with body can be crossed with breath. The tunnel curves downward, growing wider. Your lantern's light stretches further, revealing walls marked with niches. At first you think they are empty. Then you step closer and see objects resting in each. Keys, hundreds of them. Keys of iron, of bronze, of silver. Some large and ornate, others small and plain. Each one rests on a stone shelf carved directly into the wall, row after row stretching into shadow. You lift the lantern higher. The chamber opens wide, its ceiling high above. Keys line every wall, glinting faintly in the flickering light. You step slowly, the sound of your footsteps, muffled by the weight of silence. You reach for one key, long and rusted. When you touch it, the map warms violently. You pull your hand back quickly. The warmth eases. You reach for another, smaller, smoother. The map hums faintly, but not hot. A softer glow. You realize each key responds differently. Not all are meant for you. Not all are meant to be touched. This crypt is not storage. It is memory. Each key belonged to a lock, a door, a threshold now long gone. To touch them is to awaken fragments of what they once opened. You set the lantern on the ground and kneel. You close your eyes, breathing slowly. You stretch your hand out blindly, letting the map's warmth guide you. Your fingers brush cold metal, then another, then rest on one key warm against your skin. You lift it gently. It is small, bronze, simple. The map glows bright, the circle pulsing. You know this is the one. The key is not ornate. It does not promise grandeur, but it hums faintly in your palm, as though alive. You slip it into your pocket, the weight heavier than expected. Around you, the chamber of keys remains silent, hundreds still resting in stone. You bow your head, honouring them. Each one once opened something important. Each one still holds memory. You rise, lantern in hand, and move to the far wall. There, a door waits. Plain stone, unmarked, but bearing a small hole in its centre. You draw the bronze key and press it gently into the hollow. The stone hums faintly, then slides aside. Beyond lies a new tunnel, narrower, darker. You step through. The map glows steady, the circle closer than ever. Behind you, the crypt of keys falls silent again, each key waiting patiently for its own seeker. The stone door from the crypt slides shut behind you, leaving you in a tunnel darker and narrower than any before. Your lantern throws a thin circle of light that seems to tremble on the walls. The air is heavy, colder now, with a faint metallic tang, as if the stone itself has been tempered by fire. You walk slowly, one step, then another, the sound of your boots swallowed immediately. The tunnel widens suddenly into a long hall, and the glow of your lantern shatters into fragments. At first you think the walls are wet with water, reflecting light. Then you realize they are lined with mirrors. Tall, narrow slabs of polished stone, some cracked, some nearly perfect, stretch from floor to ceiling on both sides of the passage. Their surfaces glint faintly, catching your flame and multiplying it into dozens of smaller lights. You step closer to one. Your reflection stares back, pale in the flicker, but it is not only you. Behind your reflection stands a shadowed figure, faint as breath. You whirl around nothing but stone and silence. You turn back to the mirror, and the figure is gone. You move on, raising your lantern. Each mirror shows something slightly different. In one, you appear older, hair streaked with grey. In another, younger, eyes wide, hands unscarred. In a third, you are not alone. Other figures stand near you, their faces blurred but their presence certain. The hall does not show truth, it shows possibilities. You pause in the centre, lantern lowered. The air hums faintly. The mirrors shimmer as though alive, each one vibrating with memory or dream. You reach out and press your palm to a cracked surface. The stone is cool, yet beneath it you feel a faint pulse. Images flash in your mind, torches flickering, hooded figures moving silently through the hall, each pausing at a mirror to watch themselves, then vanishing into the dark. The map warms in your pocket. You unroll it, and for the first time you see not a line but a branching web. Each branch ends at a circle, like an eye. The parchment glows faintly, humming with the hall itself. The mirrors are not decoration, they are doors of perception, portals that show what could be. You lift the lantern and walk slowly, studying each reflection. You see yourself turning back, retreating to the surface. You see yourself pressing forward, deeper into shadow. You see yourself kneeling, laying down the lantern, surrendering light. Each reflection pulls at you, testing your patience. Then, at the far end, one mirror glows faintly brighter than the rest. Its surface ripples slightly, as though water shimmers beneath glass. You step closer. In this reflection, you see yourself holding something, a bronze key, the same one you carry now. Behind your reflection is a door, carved with the fish symbol. The glow pulses gently, urging you forward. You raise the key in your hand. The mirror quivers. Slowly, its surface shifts from solid to fluid, rippling outward in rings. You take a breath, then press the key against it. The glass softens, accepting the touch. The reflection dissolves, leaving only dark behind. You step forward cautiously. Your lantern passes through, as though the mirror is no barrier. For a moment, you feel a cool wave wash over your body, like water closing around you. Then you are on the other side, standing in another tunnel. The mirror behind you hardens, becoming stone once more. The hall is gone. The reflections remain only in your memory. The map glows steady, the circle closer now. You take another breath and walk forward, carrying the weight of all the faces you saw, all the paths that could have been. The tunnel stretches on, narrower now, the walls pressing close as though guarding something. The air is heavy with stillness, and even your breath feels muted. The sound of your lantern flame seems too loud, its flicker intrusive in the hush. At last the tunnel ends in a round doorway. You step through, lantern lifted, and find yourself in a chamber so silent it feels alive. The walls are smooth, carved in a perfect circle, the ceiling domes above vanishing into shadow. The floor is polished stone, unbroken, clean of dust. You step further in, and the silence deepens. It presses against your ears, your chest, even your thoughts. You realize that here, words would not simply echo, they would be consumed. This is not empty quiet. This is sacred silence, cultivated and guarded. You lower the lantern. Its flame shrinks, as though even fire bows here. You kneel in the center of the chamber, setting the lantern aside. For a long moment, you simply sit, breathing. The silence grows heavier, then lighter, wrapping around you like a cloak. You close your eyes. In the silence, images rise unbidden. Early followers kneeling here in darkness, heads bowed, lips still. No hymns, no chants, only silence shared as worship. You feel their presence still, lingering like breath upon stone. Your map warms faintly. You unroll it, but no new lines appear. Instead, the parchment grows blank, its glow fading entirely. You frown, unsure. But then you realize the map is teaching you the same lesson as the chamber. There are times when direction cannot be drawn, when silence itself is guide. You place the map on the floor before you and bow your head. For a time, you let thought drift away. You breathe, you listen, though nothing speaks. You surrender. Then, slowly, a change. You feel the floor beneath your knees vibrate faintly. Not sound, not movement, but resonance. You press your palm flat to the stone. It hums softly, a rhythm slower than heartbeat. You match your breath to it, inhaling and exhaling in time. The chamber responds. A seam appears faintly on the far wall, glowing like a line of pale fire. You rise, retrieve the lantern, and walk toward it. The seam widens slowly, revealing a narrow passage beyond. The silence remains absolute, but now it guides. You step through the opening. The seam closes behind you, leaving the chamber sealed once more. The silence lingers in your chest, steady as heartbeat. You walk on, lantern lifted, knowing the silence has marked you. It will never leave. The new passage descends steeply, carved in tight spirals. Your lantern flame trembles in the draught, throwing long shadows that twist with the curve. The air grows warmer, carrying faint traces of smoke, though no fire burns. You move carefully, one hand against the wall, one carrying light. After many turns, the stair opens into a vast cavern. The ceiling soars above, lost in darkness. The floor is uneven, scattered with fragments of stone. In the center, a pit smoulders faintly, though no flame rises. Wisps of pale smoke drift upward, curling into patterns before vanishing into shadow. You step closer. The smoke carries no scent of burning wood or flesh. It smells faintly sweet, like incense. You kneel at the pit's edge, lantern close. The stones within are blackened but cold. The smoke does not come from heat. It rises endlessly from the stones themselves, as though they exhale memory. You reach your hand through the smoke. It curls around your fingers, cool against your skin. For a moment, it shapes itself into letters, faint Latin, vita ex morte, life from death. Then the words scatter, dissolving into pale wisps. You sit on the ground, watching the smoke. It rises in rhythms, not random, curling into spirals, then crossing, then spirals again. Patterns emerge, like symbols written in air. You close your eyes and breathe it in. It fills your chest, cool but steady, not choking. You feel lighter, as though the smoke carries weight away. The map warms in your pocket. You unroll it and find the circle glowing bright, pulsing in time with the smoke's rhythm. Lines appear faintly, spiraling outward like the wisps. They lead not outward, but downward, into deeper dark. You look again at the pit. Beneath the smoke, Between the stones, you see a narrow stair spiraling into the earth, half hidden, as though meant to remain unseen unless revealed by patience. You lift your lantern and lean closer. The stair is narrow, worn smooth, descending into black. You bow your head once more to the smoke, honouring its message. Then you step onto the hidden stair. The lantern flickers but holds. The smoke swirls around you as you descend, brushing your skin like ghostly fingers, whispering faintly in your ears. Vita ex morte, life from death. You walk downward, the smoke following, guiding. The pit above grows distant, the stair tightens, drawing you further into the unknown. The tunnels are not done with you. They are only now beginning to show their deepest face. The spiral stair narrows with each step, the smoke curling around you until it thins into nothing. When at last you reach the bottom, the air is sharp with mineral tang, dry against your throat. You lift the lantern, its glow stretching across a flat chamber where the floor gleams pale white. You step closer and realize it is not stone at all, but salt. A wide circle of salt has been laid here, thick and deliberate, its edges sharp as though drawn by steady hands. Within it, the floor is bare stone, untouched. The circle glows faintly in lantern light, shimmering as though it carries its own quiet fire. You pause at its edge. The map warms in your pocket, yet when you unroll it, the lines blur. The circle sits at the centre, but no path leads beyond. The parchment hums faintly, waiting for you to choose. You kneel, studying the salt. It is clean, untouched by dust, though the chamber itself is old. You touch it gently. The grains are sharp, biting your skin with a sting not of pain, but of memory. You feel yourself pulled into images, hands scattering salt across the ground, murmured words of protection, circles drawn to guard what must not be broken. You rise, lantern steady. The chamber is silent. You know the circle is boundary, barrier, invitation. To step inside is to cross into what it guards. To refuse is to turn back. You breathe deeply, then lift your foot. Carefully, reverently, you step over the salt. The moment you cross, the air shifts. The chamber darkens, though your lantern still burns. A low hum fills the room, steady and deep, vibrating through your chest. The salt glows brighter, sealing behind you. You walk slowly to the centre, lantern held high. The hum deepens into rhythm, like a heartbeat in stone. The walls shimmer faintly, shapes emerging in their grain figures, robed in shadow, standing at the circle's edge, their faces hidden. They do not move. They only watch. You bow your head, honouring their presence. The hum softens, as though satisfied. You kneel, setting the lantern on the ground. For a long moment, nothing happens, only silence and salt. Then the ground beneath you warms. You press your palm against the stone, and words rise in your mind. Nothing enters without leaving. Nothing leaves without entering. You breathe these words, though your lips do not move. You understand the circle of salt is exchange. To pass deeper, you must leave something behind. You reach into your pocket and feel the coin, half blackened, half gold. Its weight has grown heavier with each step. You hold it in your palm, gazing at its split, fire and light, shadow and shine. It belongs here. You place the coin gently on the stone at the circle's centre. The hum deepens, then fades. The salt brightens until it burns like fire, then vanishes into nothing. The chamber shifts. A doorway appears in the far wall, carved suddenly where there was none. You lift your lantern, bow once more to the silent watchers, and step toward it. The circle is gone, but its weight remains. You walk forward lighter, yet marked. What you leave behind in the salt is never lost. It becomes part of the tunnels, guarding the way for all who come after. The doorway opens into a narrow corridor that slopes downward. The air here carries a faint metallic tang, sharper with each step. Your lantern glints against the walls, revealing grooves etched deep into the stone. You follow them with your hand and feel how smooth they are, polished by centuries of turning. The corridor bends, and suddenly The air fills with a faint grinding sound, low but steady. You step through an arch and find yourself in a chamber vast and round, its walls lined with enormous wheels, iron and wood, ancient and scarred, each one set into grooves that run into the floor. Some are cracked, others whole, but all stand tall, their rims rising higher than your head. The grinding continues faintly, though none of the wheels move. You step closer, lantern raised. The nearest wheel bears carvings across its spokes, symbols, letters, circles. You touch one lightly. The wheel shudders beneath your hand, humming faintly as though waiting. You step back, listening. The sound grows louder now, echoing through the chamber like distant thunder. You realize the wheels are not still. They move slowly, so slowly that their motion escapes the eye. Only sound betrays them, turning endlessly through the centuries. You walk along the rim of one wheel, tracing its edge with your lantern. In its carved symbols you see echoes of all you have passed: the fish, the cross, the circle, the lines of sound. The wheels are memory. Each one turns with history, carrying the weight of what was. You pause in the center of the chamber. The grinding deepens. The wheels seem to breathe together, their slow turning forming a rhythm like heartbeats multiplied. Your map warms fiercely in your pocket. When you unroll it, the parchment glows with spinning lines, circles turning upon circles, patterns spiraling outward like gears. You bow your head, letting the hum settle through you. You realize the wheels do not guard treasure, they guard time itself. Each turn is a measure, each symbol a record. The tunnels have kept history not in words but in motion, turning silently beneath the city while the world above forgets. You stand still, lantern low. The wheels grind, slow and endless. You whisper softly, "Memoria." The chamber responds with a shudder that rattles the floor. The wheels shift slightly, groaning as they turn faster for a moment, then return to their slow rhythm. A seam opens on the far side of the chamber, a narrow stair leading downward. You lift your lantern, bow once more to the turning wheels, and step toward the stair. The grinding fades as you descend, but its rhythm remains within you. Time turns endlessly, whether seen or unseen, and you carry the weight of its motion deeper into the earth. The stair descends sharply, the air thickening with dryness. Your lantern flame steadies, its light clinging close, as though reluctant to travel. The walls here are bare, unmarked, until at last the stair ends in a heavy stone arch. You step through and enter a chamber that feels different from all before. The air is thick with dust, swirling faintly, though no wind stirs. It clings to your skin, your hair, your clothes. You lift the lantern, and its light catches endless shelves carved into the walls. Each shelf is stacked with volumes, scrolls, books, parchments, layered thick with dust. The chamber is library, archive, vault. But unlike the sealed scroll of gold, this place is forgotten. You step closer, brushing dust from one scroll. The parchment crumbles at your touch, fragments falling like ash. You open another, its ink faded beyond recognition. Every shelf is the same records once precious, now dissolving into dust. You move deeper, lantern casting shadows between shelves. The floor is thick with fallen fragments, a carpet of paper turned to powder. Each step stirs clouds that rise and vanish. You kneel and lift a fragment from the ground. The letters are faint, but one word remains: testamentum. You hold it gently until it crumbles between your fingers. Your map warms faintly. When you unroll it, the circle glows weak, flickering. The parchment itself is dusting at the edges, as though mirroring the chamber. You brush it quickly, whispering, "Memoria." The glow steadies, though faint. You realize the vault of dust is warning. Records fade, words vanish. What is not carried within will be lost. The shelves may crumble, but memory must endure in breath, in silence, in presence. You sit in the center, lantern beside you. Dust swirls gently around, forming faint patterns in the air. You close your eyes. Within the silence, you feel whispers, not words, but impressions. Hands writing by candlelight, voices reciting, ink staining parchment. The memory remains, though the paper dies. You bow your head, breathing deeply. You whisper, non perit, it does not perish. The chamber stills, dust settling softly, as though in agreement. You rise, lantern lifted. On the far wall, hidden beneath layers of dust, you see a faint archway. You brush at it, and stone gives way, revealing a narrow corridor beyond. You step through. The dust swirls behind you, settling again on shelves that will one day vanish entirely. But you know the memory will not. You carry it now, within you, alive. The corridor narrows until your shoulders brush stone, then widens suddenly into an open space. At first, it feels like any other chamber, but the air is different here. It carries the faint smell of soil, rich and damp, though no water runs and no sun shines. You lift your lantern, and its glow reveals something strange. Roots dangling from the ceiling, vines curled along the walls, leaves pale and thin like ghosts. You step forward, the sound of your boots muffled by earth. The ground is covered, not in dust or stone, but in soil, soft and uneven beneath your feet. Strange plants rise from it, tall stalks with hollow stems, small flowers without colour, fungi glowing faintly along the edges. You kneel and touch the soil. It is damp, cool, alive. This is a garden without light, hidden far below the world. It should not exist, and yet it thrives. You walk carefully, lantern raised. Pale blossoms turn toward you as you pass, as though drawn to your flame. Their petals tremble, catching light like glass. Vines coil along the walls, in patterns that resemble writing, curling, and looping, as though forming letters too old to read. At the centre of the chamber stands a tree. Its trunk is twisted, roots sprawling across the soil. Its bark is pale grey, its branches thin, its leaves small and colourless. Yet it stands tall, alive, defiant in the dark. You approach slowly. The map warms in your pocket. When you unroll it, the circle glows bright, and around it symbols appear, curved lines like roots spreading outward. You place the parchment against the trunk. The tree hums faintly, and you feel vibration through your hand, as though sap itself carries memory. You close your eyes, palm pressed to bark. Images rise in your mind. Robed figures planting seeds in soil carried down from the surface, whispering prayers of growth. Roots pushing into stone, finding cracks, drawing water from unseen springs. Generations tending plants by flame and silence, nurturing life in darkness. You open your eyes. The tree still hums softly, steady as breath. You kneel, placing your lantern on the ground. For a long moment, you simply sit, listening to the hum. Then something shifts. A small branch bends downward, brushing your shoulder. A leaf falls gently into your lap. You lift it carefully. It is pale, fragile, but warm in your hand. You tuck it into your pocket. The leaf does not wither. It glows faintly, like a sliver of moonlight captured in green. You bow your head to the tree, whispering thanks. The hum deepens once, then fades. On the far wall of the garden, vines part slightly, revealing a narrow passage. You lift your lantern and step toward it. As you pass, blossoms tremble again, turning to follow your flame. You step through the vine-curtained doorway. The soil gives way to stone again. Behind you, the garden remains living, breathing, growing without light, proof that even in deepest dark, life endures. The passage beyond is colder, the air heavier. You walk carefully, lantern throwing shadows across rough walls. Soon the tunnel opens into a vast hall, larger than any before. Its ceiling soars high above, vanishing into shadow. Your lantern light stretches only part way, but what it reveals freezes you. The walls are carved with faces, hundreds of them. Stone visages staring out, row upon row, each one different. Some solemn, others stern. a few smiling faintly. The faces watch you silently, their eyes blank yet alive in the flickering light. You step closer to one. It is rough, weathered, but carved with care. You run your hand along its cheek, cold and smooth. The stone vibrates faintly beneath your fingers, as though it carries voice unspoken. You move to another, then another. Each one hums slightly different, each one carrying presence. You realize these are not decorations. They are memories. Each face is someone who walked here, someone whose likeness was carved to remain when flesh faded. This hall is gallery, archive, tomb. You set your lantern on the ground and kneel in the center. The faces seem to lean closer in shadow. You close your eyes. For a moment there is silence. Then whispers rise, soft and layered, like breath moving through stone. Not words, but tones, murmurs that vibrate in your chest. You open your eyes. The faces glow faintly, each one lit from within as though breath still lingers behind their mouths. The glow shifts from face to face, creating waves of light across the walls. You sit still, watching as the wave circles the hall, moving faster until every face shines at once. Your map warms fiercely. You unroll it, and the parchment glows brighter than ever. The circle pulses in rhythm with the glowing faces. Around it symbols appear, eyes, mouths, ears, senses united. You understand, the hall is witness. It does not keep secrets hidden. It remembers them in stone, preserving them as faces, preserving them as presence. You stand slowly, bowing to the walls. The glow fades, leaving the faces silent once more. Yet you feel them still, watching as guardians, as witnesses. On the far side of the hall, a great archway looms. Its edges are carved with more faces, smaller now, but just as watchful. You lift your lantern and step toward it. The air thickens, heavy with presence. You pass beneath the arch. Behind you, the hall remains, filled with stone visages, each carrying memory beyond time. You walk on, humbled by their gaze. The archway leads into a narrow shaft, a stair cut steeply downward. At first it seems like any other descent, but soon you notice something strange. The air itself moves here, inhaling and exhaling softly, as though the stair breathes. Each step down is accompanied by a gentle pull of air inward, then a soft release outward. You pause, lantern high. The stone walls expand slightly, then contract. The stair itself is alive, pulsing faintly as though it were lung, heart, body. You place your hand on the wall. It warms beneath your touch, vibrating in rhythm with breath. You descend carefully, breath syncing with the stair's own. Inhale when it inhales, exhale when it exhales. Soon your body aligns with it, moving naturally with its rhythm. You feel lighter, steadier, carried downward by something larger than yourself. The stair curves endlessly. The air grows thicker, warmer, each breath filling you more fully. You close your eyes for a few steps, letting the stair guide you. You see visions as you descend, figures walking here in silence, each one breathing in time, each one merging into the rhythm, generations carried downward by the same breath. You open your eyes again. The stair continues, spiraling deeper. At last it ends in a small landing before a sealed door. The stone bears no handle, no keyhole, only a single mark, a circle split by a line. You press your hand to it. The stair exhales sharply, a gust of air rushing past you. The circle glows faintly. You inhale deeply, then exhale against the stone. It warms, humming faintly. You press closer, exhaling again. The line in the circle fades, leaving it whole. The stone slides aside, revealing a passage beyond. You step through. Behind you, the stair inhales once more, sealing the door with breath. The rhythm fades, but its memory remains in your chest. The passage ahead is narrow, silent, waiting. You lift your lantern and walk forward, carrying the stair's breath within you. The narrow passage bends like a serpent until the stone opens into another wide hall. You raise your lantern and hear it before you see it, an echo, low and resonant, though you made no sound. You take a step forward. The echo follows, louder this time, as if the chamber itself repeated your footfall not once, but twice. You pause, breath caught. The air hums faintly, alive. You lift your lantern higher. The chamber is round, its ceiling arching high above like a dome. Its walls are smooth, but dark stains stretch upward like shadows frozen in place. You take another step, and the sound doubles again, 3 beats where one should be. You kneel and set the lantern down. The flame flickers, and the echo multiplies, as though fire itself has a voice. The chamber does not return sound. It adds to it, layers it, multiplies it, until silence itself becomes crowded. You close your eyes. You whisper one word, Pax. The chamber responds not once but many times, voices swelling, surrounding you from every angle. Each repetition grows fainter, softer, until they sound like distant whispers of people long gone. You understand then. This chamber holds every voice that has ever spoken here. It remembers words, not in ink, not in stone, but in sound. It layers them, keeps them, lets them drift forever in echo. You stand slowly, lantern in hand. You walk to the centre. The echoes grow louder, building upon one another. You hear hymns, prayers, confessions, cries, chants, all layered so deeply that they form a choir of memory. For a moment you feel unsteady, lost in voices. Then the sound calms, weaving itself into one steady tone, a hum deep as earth. The map warms in your pocket. You unroll it, and for the first time words appear, written in glowing script, audite. Listen. You bow your head, pressing the parchment to your chest. You whisper again, Pax. This time the chamber answers not with 100 voices, but with one, clear, strong, close. It is your own voice, returned to you, unbroken. The walls fall silent afterward, as though they have given you back what you offered. On the far wall, a seam glows faintly. You walk toward it, lantern high. The seam widens slowly, revealing another passage. You bow once more to the chamber of echoes, whispering thanks. As you step into the narrow passage, silence follows you. The echoes remain behind, endless voices circling forever in the stone. But one voice, yours, now rests steady in your chest, a memory that belongs to you alone. The passage narrows, sloping gently downward. The air is colder here, sharp against your throat. Your lantern's glow is steady, but shadows stretch long ahead of you. After some time, you see a faint shimmer, not firelight, not reflection, but a glow like moonlight caught in stone. You step closer, and the passage opens into a chamber vast and tall. In its centre stands a figure, not living, not moving, but carved of stone. A statue robed in folds, face hooded, hands clasped before it. The glow comes from the figure itself, as though stone radiates light from within. You approach slowly, lantern raised. The figure towers above you, silent yet alive with presence. Its hood hides its face, but you feel its gaze upon you all the same. In its clasped hands rests something small, a key. You kneel, bowing your head. The air thickens, pressing on your chest. You understand at once. This is the keeper's threshold. No passage lies beyond without the keeper's consent. You set the lantern down and unroll the map. The parchment glows violently, lines spiraling toward the circle. The circle pulses, once, twice, then fades. The parchment turns blank, then crumbles slowly into dust between your hands. You watch as it falls, settling on the stone floor. The map has carried you as far as it can. You bow your head deeper, breathing slowly. You whisper softly, Pax. The chamber does not respond. You whisper again, this time with steadier breath, Lux. Still nothing. Then you fall silent. You simply breathe. The statue hums faintly, stone vibrating with a resonance low as thunder. You place your hands on the ground, pressing your palms flat. You surrender. A sound rises not from your lips, but from the air itself. A voice deep and resonant, speaking words you do not understand. It is not command, not judgment, but acknowledgement. The keeper speaks once, then falls silent. The statue's hands open slowly. The key drops, striking stone with a sound that rings like a bell. You lift it carefully. It is small, plain, bronze, like the first you carried. But this one hums faintly in your palm, alive with weight. The far wall shimmers. A doorway opens, light spilling faintly from within. You lift your lantern and step forward. Before passing through, you bow once more to the keeper. The statue remains still, but the glow brightens faintly. As though satisfied, you step through the doorway. The air grows warmer. Behind you, the keeper remains, guarding the threshold for all who come after. The path now leads to the heart, and you carry the key that opens it. The doorway closes behind you, sealing the keeper's chamber in silence. The passage ahead is short, narrow, lined with smooth stone. The air is warmer now, faintly sweet, as though carrying incense. You walk slowly, lantern in one hand, the key clutched in the other. The passage ends in a great iron door, larger than any you have seen. Its surface is plain, but in its centre is a keyhole. You step closer, pressing the bronze key into it. The metal hums, glowing faintly. Slowly, the door swings open. Beyond is a chamber vast and round, its ceiling lost in shadow. At the centre lies a pool of water, still and clear, reflecting your lantern's light like glass. Around it stand pillars, carved with symbols, the fish, the cross, the circle, the line of breath, the turning wheel, the faces. Every mark you have seen before now gathers here, carved into one place. You kneel at the pool's edge, setting the lantern beside you. The water glows faintly, though no light touches it. You lean closer, and in its reflection you see not your own face, but many. Faces of those who walked the tunnels before, eyes steady, lips silent. They do not move, but their presence fills you with calm. You dip your hand into the pool. The water is cool, softer than air. Ripples spread outward, distorting the reflections until only light remains. In the ripples, you hear whispers, not commands, not secrets, but simple truths. Guard what is sacred. Walk with silence. Remember, you close your eyes, letting the whispers settle. You understand now. The tunnels guard not gold, not relics, not treasure. They guard memory. They guard presence. They guard the silence where truth endures when words fail. You lift your hand from the water. Droplets cling to your skin, glowing faintly before fading. You bow your head deeply. The lantern flame shrinks, then steadies. You stand slowly, turning back toward the door. But when you look, it is gone. The chamber is sealed. You are not trapped, you are kept. The tunnels have claimed you, as they claimed all who came before. You sit by the pool, lantern dim beside you. The silence grows deeper, steadier, until even your breath feels part of it. You close your eyes, letting the quiet carry you. And as you drift, you realize the tunnels never truly end. They are not path, but circle. Not secret, but memory. And you are now part of what they guard. You sit by the pool until silence itself presses so deep it feels like weight. Then, without warning, the chamber shifts. The water ripples, the pillars tremble, and the floor beneath you gives way. Not violently, not with collapse, but with a slow descent, as though stone itself chooses to lower you. You rise quickly, lantern in hand, but there is nowhere to run. The pool and pillars sink with you, dropping deeper into earth. The air grows cooler, the glow of the water dimming until it fades entirely. When the floor settles again, you find yourself in a long hall. This hall is unlike any before. Its ceiling is high, but shadows hang thick, and the only sound is the echo of your own steps. At first you think it is endless corridor. Then you notice stairs carved directly into the ground, leading downward, downward, endlessly downward. You lift your lantern and step carefully onto the first stair. It is wide, smooth, worn by countless feet. You descend slowly, one step, then another. The echo of each step multiplies, surrounding you. Soon you cannot tell whether the sound is yours or those who walked before. You pause and look back. The stair behind vanishes into dark, as though swallowed. There is no going back, only forward, only down. You continue. The descent grows steeper. The air thins, pressing against your lungs. You breathe carefully, syncing your breath with your steps. Each inhale, one stair. Each exhale, another. Slowly, rhythm becomes prayer. After what feels like hours, you pause again. Your lantern flame flickers, struggling. You kneel, pressing your hand to the stone. It hums faintly, vibrating with memory. You close your eyes. In the hum, you hear not words, but the weight of all who descended. Pilgrims, seekers, guardians, all walked these steps, carrying lanterns, carrying silence. You rise, steady again. You walk until the rhythm overtakes you, until you lose count. When at last you lift your head, the stair ends in a landing. Before you is an archway, carved with symbols of circles within circles. The stone hums louder here, vibrating through your chest. You bow your head and step beneath the arch. The endless steps vanish behind you. The silence follows, steady as breath. You know now that the stair was never meant to lead anywhere but inward. What it carved in you remains. Beyond the arch lies a tunnel short and narrow, its walls coated with a fine grey dust. Your lantern flame dims, though the air is not heavy. You walk carefully, and soon the tunnel opens into a chamber glowing faintly with pale light. The source is ash. The floor is covered with it, deep in some places, shallow in others. The walls are streaked with it. Even the ceiling carries a haze of grey. Yet the ash glows softly, as though fire once burned here and never fully died. You kneel, scooping some into your hand. It is warm, though no flame burns. When you hold it closer to the lantern, the ash shimmers, scattering faint sparks like stars. You let it fall back to the floor, and the sparks fade. You move deeper into the chamber. Shapes rise from the ash fragments of wood, half-burned scrolls, bits of cloth reduced to grey. You realize this is not natural. Something was destroyed here, burned deliberately, and the ash itself remembers. You kneel in the centre, lantern set beside you. You close your eyes and breathe. The ash stirs faintly, swirling around your body. It rises into the air, shaping itself into faint outlines. Robed figures huddled around fire, scrolls cast into flames, whispers carried away in smoke. You see their faces, not cruel but sorrowful. They burn not for hatred, but for fear. You whisper softly, Memoria. The ash swirls brighter, the glow deepening. Shapes shift again now, not burning, but writing, preserving, hiding. The chamber is both destruction and memory. What was lost remains here, not in form, but in essence. You open your eyes. The ash has settled again, glowing faintly at your feet. You pick up a fragment of scroll, blackened and fragile. Letters cling faintly, almost gone. Yet one word remains. Lux, light. You hold it until it crumbles in your hand, joining the ash once more. Your map is gone, yet the chamber guides you still. On the far side, beneath layers of ash, you see a doorway. You brush at it until stone emerges, glowing faintly with pale fire. You bow once to the chamber, whispering thanks, then step through. Behind you, the ash glows brighter for a moment, as though acknowledging your presence. Then it fades into stillness once more, carrying memory in silence. The passage ahead is long, straight, smooth, as though carved in one breath. Your lantern flickers but does not fail. The air here is still, heavy, final. Each step echoes deeper than stone, as though you walk not in earth but in time itself. At last you reach it, a gate of stone taller than any wall, wider than any door. Its surface is plain, uncarved, save for one mark at its centre. A circle, whole, unbroken. You set the lantern down and kneel before it. You press your hand to the circle. The stone is cold, unmoving. You close your eyes, breathing slowly. You remember every chamber. The voices, the wheels, the faces, the echoes, the keeper. Each one brought you here, to this last gate. You place both hands against the stone. You whisper, Pax, nothing. You whisper, Lux, silence. Then you whisper, Memoria. The stone hums faintly, but does not move. You bow your head to the ground, surrendering. You realize the gate will not open with words. It opens only with presence. You close your eyes and breathe. Slowly, you let go of lantern, of key, of every relic you carried. You let them rest on the ground. You give the tunnels, not your tools, but yourself. The gate hums louder. The circle glows faintly, spreading outward in lines. The stone vibrates beneath your palms. Slowly, silently, it opens. Beyond is not another chamber. It is light, pure, steady, endless. It pours through the doorway, washing over you, filling your chest. It is not blinding. It is warm, soft, infinite. You step forward. For a moment, you feel the weight of stone beneath your feet, the air of the tunnels against your skin. Then both fade. You are only light, carried into silence, into memory, into presence. The gate closes behind you, and the tunnels remain, endless, waiting for the next to walk, to breathe, to remember. The light that carried you beyond the last gate does not fade. Instead, it shifts, softening into glow that pulses gently like breath. You walk forward, though there is no floor, only warmth beneath your feet. The glow thickens into walls, smooth and curved, as though you are moving through the body of Earth itself. Gradually, the warmth grows hotter. You lift your lantern, though it is no longer needed. The flame flickers, but gives no more light than the air itself. Ahead, faint red begins to bleed into the glow, threads of colour running like veins through pale stone. You follow them deeper, the threads thicken, glowing brighter, until they form rivers of molten fire coursing beneath translucent walls. The air hums with their heat, though it does not burn. You pause, watching as one river splits into two, then merges again. It is not random, it is rhythm, fire flowing like blood through a living body. You kneel, pressing your hand to the floor. Heat rushes into your palm, searing but not harming. In the pulse, you feel memory, forges blazing in hidden chambers, hands shaping metal, relics born from fire, carried up to altars above. Fire as tool, as weapon, as sacrifice. Fire as both destroyer and creator. The veins brighten, pulsing faster, drawing you further. You rise and walk, your breath syncing with their rhythm. Soon you come to a vast chamber, its walls crisscrossed with glowing streams. At its centre lies a great crack in the earth, fire churning within. Sparks rise slowly into the air, each one glowing bright before fading into darkness. You set your lantern on the ground and kneel at the crack's edge. The fire hums, steady and deep. You whisper softly, Lux. The flames flare, answering. You whisper again, Pax. The crack narrows, calming. You whisper, Memoria. The fire steadies, glowing soft and even. You realize the vein of fire is not simply heat. It is memory burning, history still alive, purified again and again. What was lost in ash is reborn here as flame, endlessly renewed. A spark drifts toward you, landing in your hand. It does not burn, it glows, pulsing with warmth. You hold it gently. Slowly it fades, leaving only a faint warmth in your palm. You close your fist, keeping the heat within. On the far wall, a fissure glows brighter than the rest. You rise, bowing once to the fire, then step toward it. The stone parts slightly, revealing a narrow passage. You lift your lantern, though its flame feels unnecessary now. You step through the fissure, carrying the warmth of the vein with you. Behind, the fire hums on, endless, flowing like blood beneath the world. The fissure leads into a tunnel, long and low, its walls coated in fine dust. Your lantern flickers, dimmed by the thickness of the air. Each step stirs particles that drift slowly down again, clinging to your skin. The ground beneath your feet crunches softly, though the sound vanishes quickly into the silence. At last, the tunnel opens into a vast cavern. You raise your lantern, and your breath catches. From the ceiling high above, streams of sand fall endlessly, cascading like waterfalls frozen in slow motion. Golden grains tumble silently, catching light as they descend, forming soft mounds across the floor. You step closer. The sand falls steady, never thinning, never stopping. You kneel and scoop some into your hand. It slips easily between your fingers, shimmering faintly in lantern glow. The grains feel heavy, though small. Each one hums faintly, vibrating with memory. You walk slowly among the falling streams. Some are thin, barely visible. Others are thick, heavy curtains of gold. They fall at different rhythms, some fast, some slow, yet all steady, unbroken. You realize each stream is measure, time falling, moment by moment, recorded in grains that never cease. You pause at one stream, thicker than the rest. You step beneath it, letting sand fall across your shoulders, your arms, your face. It is cool, not warm. It covers you in silence, coating your clothes, filling your hands. You close your eyes, and in the falling sand you hear whispers, voices of centuries, prayers, confessions, laughter, grief, all layered like grains in a mound. You open your eyes. The mound before you shifts, collapsing slightly. From its collapse emerges shape, a symbol drawn in falling grains, a circle within a circle. You bow your head. The sand has spoken. You kneel, setting your lantern beside you. You press your hands into the mound. The sand swirls, pulling you deeper, not into ground, but into memory. You see visions, robed figures walking these caverns, carrying urns of sand. They pour them into streams, each grain a record of a life, a moment, a prayer. The sand does not forget. It falls forever. You withdraw your hands, and the mound stills. The chamber remains silent, but alive with falling streams. On the far side, through a curtain of sand, you see a doorway faintly glowing. You step carefully, passing through the stream. Grains fall across your shoulders, your chest, your back. You feel their weight, but do not resist. You let them cover you, mark you, remind you. You step through the doorway. The sound of falling fades behind, though grains cling still to your skin. You carry them forward, each one a memory, each one a measure of time unbroken. The doorway leads into a passage narrow and plain. The air grows cooler, the dust fading from your clothes with each step. Your lantern burns steady again, its glow simple and unbroken. The silence here is different, not heavy, not pressing, but calm, returning silence, like breath after long speech. The passage opens into a circular chamber. Its walls are smooth, unmarked. Its floor is bare stone. At the centre lies nothing but emptiness. Yet the emptiness hums faintly, steady as heartbeat. You kneel, setting your lantern beside you. The flame flickers once, then steadies. You close your eyes. Silence gathers around you, folding gently, wrapping you in stillness. You breathe slowly, letting thought drift. In the silence, memories rise. The choir that was not there. The lattice that let only breath through. The faces in stone. The garden without light. The falling sand. The fire's hum. Each chamber returns, layered gently, not as burden, but as gift. You feel them all, carried within, alive. The silence deepens. You bow your head to the floor. You whisper softly, "Gratias, thank you." The chamber answers not with echo, not with hum, but with pure stillness. It does not need to respond. Its presence is enough. You sit longer, until your breath itself feels part of the silence. Then you rise, lantern in hand. On the far wall, a seam opens quietly, without sound. You bow once more to the chamber, then step toward it. The seam widens into a passage glowing faintly. You step through, carrying the silence with you. Behind, the chamber remains, endless, steady, waiting for all who enter. You walk forward, lighter, steadier, ready for what lies deeper still. The glowing passage carries you downward until stone opens into vast stillness. At first you hear nothing but your own breath, yet soon a faint dripping sound echoes through the chamber, steady as a clock. You lift your lantern, and the light reflects back at you from the floor. It is not stone, it is water. The chamber is filled with a shallow pool, clear and unmoving. You kneel at the edge, dipping your hand into it. The surface ripples outward, carrying your reflection in circles until it dissolves. The water is cool, almost cold, but when you lift it to your lips and taste it, it is neither sweet nor bitter. It tastes of stone itself, ancient, deep, endless. You rise and step carefully into the pool. The water only reaches your ankles, yet each step echoes as if you walk through a lake vast as sea. The lantern light bends across the surface, scattering into broken stars that shimmer around you. As you move deeper, you notice veils hanging from the ceiling. Thin sheets of water descend silently, falling without splash. You walk closer and see your reflection within them. Not whole reflection, but fragmented pieces of your face, your hands, your lantern, all scattered into separate images. You reach out. The veil collapses at your touch, then reforms instantly, water falling again as if nothing disturbed it. You realize the chamber shows you not as you are, but as you are divided, fragments of memory, fragments of self, each veiled, each part of a greater whole. You kneel in the center, setting your lantern on the water. It floats, flame steady. The veils shimmer all around you, swaying though no wind blows. You close your eyes, listening to the drip, drip, drip. Visions rise, pilgrims stepping into the pool, lowering themselves fully, vanishing beneath veils. They did not emerge the same. Some rose with faces calm and clear, others never rose at all. The chamber is test. To pass is to see yourself whole through division. You inhale deeply. You stand and walk toward the largest veil, water falling steady, luminous in your lantern's glow. You step through it. For a moment, everything vanishes, sound, sight, breath. Then you emerge on the other side, dripping, lantern light refracting into new colours. The chamber hums faintly. The veils brighten, then slowly fade. A doorway appears on the far wall, glowing pale. You step toward it, lighter now, though still wet. The water clings, reminding you of the fragments you carry, but you feel them joining again inside you. You pass through the doorway. Behind you, the chamber of veiled water returns to stillness, waiting for the next who will walk, divided to find themselves whole. The passage twists downward into dark. Your lantern flame burns steady, yet the silence grows thick, pressing against your ears. Then, faintly, you hear it, a bell. Not loud, not near, but distant. The sound is soft as breath, yet it lingers long, vibrating in your chest. You walk slowly, listening. Another bell follows. Lower, slower, its tone deeper. Then another. 3 bells in sequence, fading into silence. The tunnel opens into a hall tall and narrow, its ceiling lost in shadow. Your lantern light falls upon objects hanging high above shapes of bronze, dark with age. Bells, dozens of them. Some large, some small, suspended on chains from beams carved into stone. You stand still, waiting. One bell moves slightly, swaying though no wind stirs. Its tone drops gently into the chamber, rolling like thunder held at distance. Another joins, higher, lighter, weaving harmony. Soon more follow, forming chorus without hand to strike them. You kneel, setting the lantern beside you. The bells continue, their tones shifting, weaving together until they form rhythm both foreign and familiar. Not song, not chant, but pulse of earth itself. You close your eyes, and the tones grow clearer. You hear footsteps moving with the bells, figures unseen walking between chains. Some kneel, some raise arms, all silent, their presence marked only by the ringing above. The bells speak for them, carrying prayers into stone. Your chest vibrates with their sound. You whisper softly, "Audite." Listen. A single bell above answers, striking sharp and clear. The sound resonates until you feel it in your bones. You rise, bowing your head. On the far wall, hidden behind shadows, a narrow stair reveals itself. You lift the lantern and step toward it. The bells ring once more, louder now, like farewell. You ascend quickly, each step echoing their tones. At the top, you glance back once. The bells sway gently, silent now, but their resonance lingers. You carry it in your chest, a vibration that will not fade,